everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is April, and if you're new here, I make DIY fashion and sewing tutorials every week, so make sure you subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you never miss out on a new video. Today I'm back with another episode of Instagram Designs for Me, which is where I let my Instagram followers design what I'm going to be making in this video by voting on my Instagram stories. For this episode, instead of making something from scratch like last time, we're going to be doing a thrifted transformation together. I let you guys choose 1 out of 3 thrifted items for me to transform, and you guys chose the yellow gingham dress. Now that I know what item we're going to be transforming, let's get started on the design. Alright, so I first asked you guys what you want the end result to be, and the winning choice was a matching set. Then to get started, I asked you guys what features do you already like about the dress and want to keep, and you guys voted to keep the original straps and the sheared top, and to keep the lace on the straps. Knowing what to keep as part of the design, I can now take apart the dress, and I'm actually going to undo all the shirring because the elastic on the original one no longer stretches. Instagram voted for there to be a ruffle along the bottom of the crop top, so I left a couple inches along the bottom. I actually trimmed it too short, so I used the lower section of the skirt to cut out a new top, which worked out because after seam ripping all the old shirring away, the fabric was a little worn out. The first thing I'm working on is the crop top, and before I can re-sew the shirring, I hemmed the raw edges along the top and bottom. This was my first time attempting this, so I practiced on scrap fabric first. Alright, these are my very embarrassing first attempts. I don't know why it's not gathering. This first line was crazy, and then I changed the tension. And then I just kept changing the tension. This technique is definitely a learning process, and it took me a while to get it correct because I first tried it on my computerized Brother sewing machine, which has a top loading bobbin, and it was not stretching the elastic at all. But after reading up online that the problem could be with the sewing machine's bobbin tension, I decided to switch on over to my industrial sewing machine, and it ended up working on the first try. It has a lot more tension for the bobbin thread, so it might actually stretch and pull it now. Look at it, you guys. I knew it. It's starting to stretch normally now. A lot of you only have one sewing machine to work with, so you don't have the option to just switch over. So you might want to research how you can tighten your bobbin tension on your machine, and you also want to play around with how you're winding that elastic thread on your bobbin. I did a poll on Instagram asking whether you stretch the thread on your bobbin when doing this shirring technique, or do you not stretch it at all, and the answers were pretty split. At 59% were saying that they were stretching it, and 41% said to not stretch it at all. So basically, there's not one correct way to do it. You just have to find what works on your machine. For me, I hand wound my bobbin and made sure to not stretch the thread at all, and it worked out perfectly on my industrial machine. You're only going to use the elastic thread for the bobbin, and as for the top thread, you can use whatever thread you normally sew with. I also increased my machine's tension and set it to a basting stitch to allow the most stretch. I started my first row about a ½ inch from the top, and I also don't backstitch when I start each row. And then as I continue to sew the next lines, I just move down every 2 squares. I was able to sew about 5 lines until my bobbin thread ran out and I had to rewind my bobbin. As the top gets more and more scrunched, you want to make sure to stretch the fabric out so that it's laying flat when sewing the next row. After you're done, you can stain the top with your iron to scrunch up the top even more. For some reason, the top few rows I sewed ended up being a lot looser than the rest. I feel like it's because I didn't sew it all in one sitting, so the next day when I continued from where I left off, maybe something was different, but I was able to fix it by pulling on the elastic thread underneath and hand gathering the top rows to match the rest. After stretching the top over my chest to see how tight I want it to fit, I can sew the center back seam closed with a regular straight stitch and regular thread. Next, you guys voted for the ruffles to be a little smaller on the sleeves, so I trimmed some away and re-hemmed it before attaching it back on. You also voted for the straps to be placed on the shoulder where they originally were on the dress instead of an off-shoulder look. So to mark them in place, I made sure to wear the top and mark where the straps sit. Because the top is stretchy, I made sure I was stretching it when sewing the straps on. We're now done with the crop top and can finally move on to the shorts, and the winning design you guys voted for was a flowy gathered short with an elastic waistband and ruffled hem. Using a pair of high-waisted denim shorts, I folded the front in half and marked out the crotch seam curve for the front, and then just marked the waist and hemline straight across since there's not much material to work with. To make it gathered and loose fit, I extended the side seam so in total the shorts are double my waist measurement. Then repeat the same thing to the back side. You should have 2 front pieces and 2 back pieces. Since the fabric is very transparent, I used some leftover white fabric I had at home and cut out the same pieces to use as lining. Next, I drew out a pocket shape that's 6 to 7 inches wide, kept one side straight and the other side rounded, and you'll need 4 of these pieces. Now to assemble the shorts, I faced the 2 front pieces right sides together and sewed the curved seam. Do the same thing for the back 2 pieces and the lining pieces. You should now have 1 whole front short and 1 whole back shorts. Face the front and back pieces together and sew the inner leg seam closed, and repeat the same thing to the lining shorts. After that, you can face the lining shorts and yellow shorts wrong sides together and attach them at the waist and side seams using a basting stitch. Now we can add the pockets. Face 1 pocket layer to the front side of the shorts and sew it down at the side seam. There should be 1 pocket piece on each side of the shorts. Next, face the shorts right sides together with the pockets sticking out and sew the pockets together along the curve. After they are sewn, I close up the size of the pocket opening so that it's a good size for my hands. Just mark how much needs to be closed and then flip it to the wrong side again so that you can close up the rest of the side seam up to where the pocket marking is. Before that, I also understitched the pockets down so that they aren't poofing out. Then attach the pocket bags to the front side of the shorts only by basting it to the waist. Using the original shirred fabric from the top of the dress, I cut out a piece wide enough to fit the elastic band on fold, and the length should be big enough to slide over your hips. Fold the strip in half and sew the ends closed, then fold it in half the other way to create the waistband. Okay, so at first I created super gathered shorts and had to gather them at the waist to fit the size of the waistband, but it ended up looking way too poofy on me, so I tapered the shorts in by creating princess seams in the front and back to avoid having to undo the pockets. Evenly fit the shorts to the waistband and sew it together, but leave a small opening to slide the elastic band in later. To slide the elastic band in, stick a safety pin at the end and feed it through the opening until it comes out the other side. The elastic should be cut to fit your waist, or you can stretch and fit it on afterwards. Then attach it together by overlapping the ends and sewing a square and an X in the middle. Go back and close the small opening by stretching and sewing the waistband down. Lastly, I trimmed the shorts to my desired length, and you guys voted for me to incorporate the lace back into the shorts by using it for the ruffled hem. I cut the lace trim in half so I can have enough for each leg, and gathered each one along the raw edge. Gather enough to fit the bottom of the shorts, and then sew it right sides together to the shorts. To keep the ruffles laying flat, I flipped the seam allowance up and understitched it on the short side. And we're finished. Here is the final transformation you guys helped me design.
Keep on talking to me. Don't you leave me by myself. There's something in the way you're moving. You can make me lose my breath. In a room of flashing lights, you pull me closer as we dance. It's you and midnight. Let's leave now and get undressed.
Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Instagram Designs for Me, and let me know down in the comments how you guys think you did on the voting on this look right here. As usual, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for more DIY fashion, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!